Have you ever wondered what's the best SCP game out there? Well, luckily for you, yesterday I woke up after falling out of my bed and thought, what if I took every SCP game I could find? And I really mean every, as this video includes AAA looking SCP games, dating SCP games, broken games, many clones of SCP Containment Breach, Japanese nightmare fuel visual novel SCP games, and some genuine masterpieces. I will rank them based on their visual style, gameplay, its uniqueness, and something I will call another category, which is stuff like the audio quality, the user interface, and some other nerdy stuff with a minuscule amount of personal bias. So without any further wait, let's get right into it. Firstly, we got SCP Blackout. Now this game's dev is a menace. Even though the game was theoretically never finished since the dev's PC got corrupted, the current state of the game is still very decent and worth playing. You play as a Class D being guided by a scientist through a radio, and you must explore areas and do specific tasks in order to get yourself closer to freedom, which turns out to be pretty difficult as you can get lost quite easily and the monsters you'll encounter in this facility don't help. Now I don't know if this is some really advanced AI or am I just unlucky, but the SCPs always position themselves so when you turn around they'll be right in front of you, which of course led to me shitting my pants numerous times. No, this fucking game! Also, there's these dolls which I'll just let you listen to my live gameplay opinion of them. Oh my fucking god. Can you guys fucking... Okay, I'm gonna trap him in this room. Get fucked! Get fucked! Now close the door, close the door, close the fucking door, close the fucking door. You guys are not leaving this place. Get fucking... Trust me, if you play the game, you will be able to relate to my hatred. Oh, and of course, the dev had to include a section where you explore the maintenance tunnels covered in this disgusting whatever the fuck it is. Which, trust me, is not fun. You may encounter a few bugs every now and then, but they are not too major, and considering the game was never finished, it's really playable unlike some games in early access. It's really sad this game was never finished, as it could use some polishing, but this game is worth a shot if you want to see something fresh in terms of enemies and if you wanna shit yourself, so yeah, A tier. SCP Endurance. This game is just straight up FNAF but in the SCP universe. The graphics are pretty and the UI makes me hard. The gameplay is what you would expect from a FNAF type game. You're immobilized and if you see something, you react with the correct measure in order to avoid dying. Even though it was pretty damn cool to see SCPs in HD in a FNAF type game, I found the gameplay very hard to enjoy. The tutorial teaches you everything but nothing at the same time. You get shown how to turn on your PC and how to interact with your environment, but everything else is up to you to figure out. I usually like games where you just get dropped right into action and you have to rely on your instinct to survive, but this game was not like that because the instinct couldn't save you. There's so many SCPs pulling up on every side of your room and you just have no clue what to do. I tried experimenting by turning off lights or shining lights at them, putting on masks and etc, and whilst that will help me survive one or two SCPs, I would ultimately end up dying because I didn't know what to do. I checked the, I guess you could say, wiki that's in the game, which didn't offer me any assistance whatsoever. However, I won't give the game a lower score because I suck, I just wish it was more beginner friendly. Once you get the hang of the game, it can be pretty fun and intense, which my friend had to demonstrate because I couldn't get past the first night. If you're a big FNAF and SCP fan, I would certainly recommend this game, and after seeing it's an indie game somebody worked on for 7 years, I can't say nothing but damn good game and give it a B tier. SCP-5K. Now I'm gonna assume the 5K refers to the 5,000 bucks this game has, like holy shit, there's everything from magically dying to elevators, to rounds not starting, to enemies just forgetting they're even supposed to fight you, and yeah, a lot more. But the game is in alpha access, so you know, it's all forgiven. This game is about a universe where the SCP Foundation turned evil and is now trying to destroy the world, so you and your elite squad need to stop it. And by elite squad I mean a bunch of randoms equipped with just pistols and an iron will. Now the game is a little hard to get used to as there's no tutorial, and upon joining a server you spawn straight into hell. I'm not even joking. Oh boy, it's gonna be real fun when this opens, won't it? Oh my days. What the fuck is going on? Shit! Now each map has different objectives and you'll face different enemies, ranging from weird spider things to SCP guards who must be high as fuck on methamphetamine. On these maps you'll have to do various different objectives which might take a while to solve. Overall the game has plenty of original concepts, and if you like almost 24/7 constant chaos and shooting, you will love this game. The only issue is the bugs and the fact the game will get repetitive quite fast as there still isn't too many maps. In its current state, if we ignore all of the bugs, I'm gonna give it a B+ tier. But I think once this game gets baked in the oven more, it will be an SCP game must play, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. SCP The Foundation. This game is what you will get if, yes, you just woke up one day and decided to make an SCP game based on tutorials you found online. But impressively, it isn't that bad. Okay, I'm kidding, it's dog shit. You play as a Class D that has to escape from guess what? A facility under a containment breach. Wow, I could have never seen this one coming. You have to navigate the mazes of this facility to find keycards and rations because yes, you have a water/food meter, but most of the time you die before you get the need to replenish it. You also get 2 friends with you to follow you during your journey. Their AI is impressively good at following you, though their only purpose is to take hits for you and to carry your stuff. Oh, and also to block MTF from getting you, cause the MTF only want to shoot you, not them. Ah, fucking kill. Why don't you shoot him? Yeah, the racism is pretty crazy. You'll actually get quite emotionally bound to these guys as you survive hell together. Come on dog, we got this. You don't gonna die. Come on, with me. 3, 2... Come on, come on, come on, come on! Run! Oh, we did it! No way, no fucking way. No fucking way. But of course, nothing nice lasts forever. Okay, no, dog, no! As you try to find the exit and higher level access cards, you'll have to deal with SCP-173 and SCP-106, which are both easily avoidable. The biggest problem are these fucks that will start shooting you like monkeys if they see you. Fuck these guys, like, you won't understand how annoying they are until you play the game. Overall, this game can entertain you for a hour or two just because its gameplay and graphics are so bad it gets kind of funny and interesting. Anyways, D tier. SCP Fragmented Minds. Now, this game was pretty damn epic. When I started playing it, its style immediately reminded me of Alien Isolation, and if you play that game, you'll see why. You play as a survivor of a deadly containment breach at Site 113, which, by the way, is at Mars, but that's irrelevant. You wake up at this abandoned Foundation site, and your task is to explore and survive. You may be a little confused on what to do from time to time, but God bless the developers that added the scanner, which reminds you of what and where to do. It doesn't completely guide you step by step like a baby, but it does make sure you aren't cluelessly wandering around and dying like in some other SCP games. Now, this game has so many cool features, I'm not sure where to start. Its inventory is based on the grid concept like in many popular games like Tarkov and Rust, so you know, that's always satisfying to mess around with. As you explore the facility, you'll find various items and crafting recipes which you can combine to well craft items which will assist you in surviving. I'm not sure what other levels of the game will be like, but the level we got to play in the demo was intense. You'll be constantly fighting and hiding from anything such as small bugs, weird kangaroos, flesh-eating monsters, security turrets which are so damn cool, and of course SCP-99s. The game does an amazing job at raising the difficulty at a perfect pace, meaning you won't be too bored nor too overwhelmed by new stuff at any moment. Now, if I bothered explaining everything cool about this game in detail, this script will probably take half of the video, so I'll just quickly sum it up. First of all, you got a grappling hook. Like, come on, you can't tell me that isn't cool. Secondly, they made the SCP-610 section so cool, like, just look at this and tell me this doesn't look terrifying and disgusting and epic at the same time. Also, not sure did I mention, but the security turrets are also so cool. I literally felt like in a Mission Impossible for the duration I was dealing with them. Or well, they are cool until they start shooting the fuck out of you. Holy. The 99 section is also done really well, as you gotta fix a few pipe leaks which you don't know where they are, so you gotta locate them based on sound. Whilst you're also being hunted by 99s based on sound. How ironic. The combat system is more complex than just spamming left click, but is simple enough that you won't have to spend half of your playtime mastering it, which I really appreciate. The ambience and music of this game are also amazing, and trust me, you will get immersed really fast. Anyways, I'll stop yapping about this game. The graphics, gameplay and ambience of this game are my personal favorites from many of today's mentioned SCP games, even though it's in really early access, so that's why it gets an well-deserved S tier. SCP Doki Doki. Now, this game was quite of an experience to say the least. You play as a level 5 scientist tasked with researching SCP-8008-1, which are glasses that can make you fall in love with everything. So of course, the brightest minds of the facility decided that you should test it on SCP-173. Anyways, this game is a visual novel, which means the only gameplay you'll have is reading and selecting dialogue options. Oh, and also you can play Candy Crush in your dreams, and if you don't get a certain score, you'll die. How romantic. Unfortunately, the site goes through a containment breach, and SCP-173, who has a crush on you, goes missing, whilst all of the other SCPs are recontained. Now, you'll get hit with plenty of choices and dialogues, which I can't bother yapping all about, cause, you know, there's a lot of them, but the whole point of the game is to raise up one of the SCPs and get kissed by them whilst avoiding dying, which surprisingly was pretty difficult to do, so I was pretty accomplished when I got my first one. Anyways, this isn't a good example of what SCP games should be like, but I wouldn't say this is a bad game either. For a price of $5, you can most certainly have a blast raising up people who, if you make the wrong move, will kill you. Playing Candy Crush can also get pretty intense. A treat? No way.
No way. Would it possible to get 25 points?
Oh, and did I mention that the soundtrack is bussin'? Honestly, only because of the soundtrack, this game gets an B tier. SCP Observer is a game based on the FNAF mechanics just like SCP Endurance. And even though when you compare the games visually, you'd probably think Endurance is a much better game, but honestly, I had more fun in this one. One pretty big difference is that you aren't immobilized, which is a big positive for me when playing a game, because it feels like I'm actually deciding the outcome rather than waiting through a canon event. The game is based on you being a security guard trying to prevent your security room from falling apart, whilst also making sure nobody gets in and, you know, brutally mauls you to death. You have a camera system which will keep you entertained by allowing you to track all of the entities, but also see some random events. Essentially, the gameplay comes down to just keeping an eye out on the two of your entrances, as the rest of the map is not important. You of course lose power passively by closing doors and looking at cameras. What makes the gameplay difficult is the fact that SCP-079 will regularly appear on your cameras and leech on your power unless you click on him. If you aren't careful and let this guy stay for a tiny amount of time, you can say goodbye to 1/3 of your power. Another thing I like is that you can go to the back of the room to generate 3% power on this generator every like 50 seconds, which encourages moving instead of just sitting in front of the facility cameras and closing 2 doors. Even though the gameplay was pretty repetitive and basic, I did find myself occupied and somewhat entertained during every minute, cause holy shit, stuff was breaking everywhere. Unlike in Endurance, where I will just sit and pray I don't die to this guy cause I don't know what he does. Oh, and also make sure to turn your volume down, cause the biggest jump scare in the whole game will be the loud ass victory screen. Not even joking, this thing made me have a heart attack every time it popped up. Oh my fucking god. Overall, not the craziest SCP game, but it can certainly entertain you for an hour or two. C tier. SCP Containment Breach. The father and mother and god and creator of the SCP games franchise. This game was the one who started it all. You play as a D-class whose goal is to escape the facility during this active containment breach. During your journey, you'll have to travel from light containment all the way to the surface zone with the use of items you scavenge, whilst also avoiding many life-threatening entities such as SCP-173, 106 and so on. Later on in the game, Nine Tailed Fox will also arrive into the facility, which won't be very kind, so you'll have to avoid. The first thing you'll notice when you start playing the game is that the graphics are not the highest grade, but are made in a way to get you immersed and lost in this huge facility, which when combined with its scary sound ambience will make you feel nervous even when you aren't being chased by big monsters. But oh, when you are being chased by big monsters, trust me, you will shit your pants. They can appear from literally anywhere and will be relentless, so unless you have proper equipment or are experienced, you will find yourself dying a lot. The first time I played this game, I did find myself pretty lost on what to do, but as you explore, all of the pieces slowly come together. There's also plenty of documents around which you can read to learn how the SCPs work, which should help you out. The gameplay will get repetitive eventually, especially after you beat the game, as it's a single player story game, but the game does have multiple endings and a randomly generated map, so you won't be too bored if you choose to replay it. Overall, seeing how there's 100 games based off this one, I think it's safe to say this game provided everything you would want from a good SCP horror game, whilst having minimal resources and technology at the time, so that's why it's obviously worth of an S tier. SCP The Will of a Single Tale. Forget about what I said about the other games, this game is an experience. It's a visual novel, so there is straight up zero gameplay besides left clicking for the text dialogue to continue, and the graphics are questionable. The story was pretty good, can't lie. I can't really explain it, as you go from being a lesbian trapped in a Japanese village, to being a cyborg MTF talking with SCP waifus, to straight up nightmare fuel, which some I don't think I can even show on YouTube, so yeah. If you prefer story over gameplay like me, this game is worth a shot and deserves a solid B tier. Except the fact you get left on a cliffhanger, as the sequel isn't available in English and the dev seems to abandon the project. However, once again warning, if you're type of a person who just wants to blow stuff up and can't bother reading text for an hour and a half, then this game will be an F tier for you. But for me personally, a solid B tier. SCP Event Classified. This game is a multiplayer horror shooter which allows you to play as a Class D, a guard, a SCP, which goddamn is terrifying, like just look at this thing. And of course you can play as an undercover chaos spy or MTF, which when you combine with big player count servers does make the game really chaotic. That is, if the server doesn't crash. Everybody has certain tasks they need to complete and the round will end when one side has killed everybody, I think, I'm not sure. Now I have very mixed thoughts about this game. It gives off both a AAA game and a scuffed Gmod game experience at the same time. The facility design is very nice and is a fresh breath, except that elevator that takes 10 years, but hey, let's say it adds to the realism. The inventory design is original, and so is the health system. I can't see shit! Now the game is in early access, but I do think some game-breaking bugs could have been predicted and taken care of before release, but oh well. Overall, I do see great potential in the game's concept and design, but in its current early access state, I can barely give it a low B tier. SCP Daybreak. This game is about SCP-001, an apocalyptic scenario where the sun has become bad and if you touch the sunlight you will melt and die. Kind of reminds me of real life because it's already 30 Celsius in May, like what the fuck? Anyways, you are, I assume, a scientist who navigates an abandoned SCP facility and you're being guided by another scientist through a radio. Now unfortunately the game's only gameplay is walking around and picking up a key whilst avoiding the sunlight. As the game is in its alpha state, I can't criticize it for the complete lack of gameplay. The concept and design are both unique and interesting, so that's why I'll give it an C tier for now. Though I wouldn't recommend playing this game until it gets worked on more unless you wanna see this concept for yourself. SCP-022. This game is a short physics game in which you wake up from, I forgot what this is called, but essentially they throw dead people here. You only get told to press E to start the game and everything else is for you to figure out. But essentially the whole point of the game is to take this plank, set it on fire, explode this water pipe, then explode this oxygen tank, hide in this coffin so you don't die to the explosion, and then you try to leave and get trolled. This is straight up the whole game. You can probably have fun for 10 minutes with this one single mechanic there is in the game, but that's about it. Would have been D tier, but when I launched the game it was for some reason in French, which is completely unacceptable, so it gets an F tier. SCP Nine Tailed Fox. This game is developed by the same studio that helped make SCP Containment Breach alongside its original indie dev, so to no surprise this game is exactly like it. I mean, not exactly. Instead of playing as a Class D, you're playing as a captain of a small Nine Tailed Fox group which arrived in the facility to well contain the anomalies. Which should be as a concept if your team didn't get brutally destroyed and you got kidnapped, which causes you to lose all of your stuff. So now with no bitches nor your cool gun, you are no different than a Class D in the original game and are subjected to the same gameplay. The main difference is, well, that you're an MTF, which means you'll encounter Class D you'll have to kindly deal with. Bitch. Jesus. Yeah, I'm not sure did I miss anything, but the only difference between this game and SCP Containment Breach is that you can now shoot people and the fact facility has more original areas. However, this does come with the cost of the game being buggy as fuck. On my first run I got perma-stuck like 2 minutes in. On my second run I made it pretty far until I went up an elevator and got sent into the middle of nowhere, which would have been fine if the game didn't autosave itself, which completely doomed my run. There's also a wave survival mode, which I can't lie was pretty cool. It's nothing special, but it is pretty fun to kindly deal with the hordes of zombies or random SCPs. The game is still in early access, so you know, if the devs take care of this in the future, consider this game an S tier DLC for Containment Breach. SCP Descent. Now this is the first SCP game to actually have me on the edge and shitting my pants. Now I generally consider myself a quite fearless individual, but this fucking game... yeah. You play as a student who, after I guess finishing his class late, decides to, you know, leave, but whoopsie, turns out the stairway he's ascending is SCP-087, an infinite staircase filled with some unsettling shit. On your journey, you listen to voice recordings done by some crazy professor, solve puzzles which require quite significant brain power levels. Not even kidding, you'll most likely need to spend 10 plus minutes on each of them, and oh, you also have to avoid ugly ass goblins. The game is a 7 whole euros but can be finished in under 2 hours, so if you're on a budget I wouldn't recommend getting it, but if you wanna be on the edge, treat yourself and overheat your brain for an hour and a half straight, then you will probably find this game, like me, very enjoyable. So that's why it gets an B+. SCP Undead's Winter. Now this game was probably somebody's homework project from IT class or something, because I'm pretty sure all of the assets were downloaded and the gameplay comes down to just walking around and shooting these zombies. You don't get any guidance whatsoever and are left to wander the snow wasteland whilst listening to I believe a German's broken English and some deep voice you can't understand.
Here is our forward man. Need infantry right now, please. Come right now.
Overall, I think it's pretty obvious that this game is going straight to F tier. Anyways, well, look, we made it halfway through this huge video that took ages to make. If you're still watching, I'm gonna assume you're enjoying it, so please go ahead and violate that subscribe button, or else you might end up trapped in a stone wasteland full of downloaded assets. And trust me, you don't want that. Anyways, let's continue with the video. SCP Secret Files. Now this quote-unquote game is quite one experience. The reason I said quote-unquote is because this game is closer to a movie than a video game, which doesn't mean it's necessarily a bad thing, but it does mean it may not be for everybody. You play as Carl, a recently recruited SCP employee tasked with sorting and processing SCP files whilst yapping with your co-workers, which are, by the way, all a bunch of nerds. As you read and sort these files, you, how do I say, experience them. In the second file, you read the file of SCP-701 and you play as an agent tasked with retrieving the black box of a site that underwent a containment breach. The puzzles require no brain power to complete, and any intense encounters are based on you just holding shift. This is why I said this game is more like a movie instead of a game, since the gameplay this game offers feels just like something to entertain your attention span whilst they tell you the story of the SCP. Now, I have very mixed feelings for this game. The start of it was pretty interesting. You get introduced to stunning visuals like god damn, and some very disturbing stories that have a really good plot twist in the end. Now, if the rest of this game was like this, it would have most certainly been an S tier in my opinion, but nope, instead we are met with Cocomelon. I'm not even joking, I finished this whole story whilst playing Clash Royale, which by the way will be required if you plan to not die out of boredom whilst playing this level.
Your goblins? Cannon cards? Okay, he's going Garland gang. Miners? Kill spirits? Oh, I'm such a god of this game. Guys, I'm such a fucking god. You gotta subscribe, man. You're gonna fucking subscribe.
I can't speak for everyone, but listening to a slow-paced children's story whilst playing an ultra-easy written game was just not for me. The next story is an improvement. You're on Class D and they connect you to the mind of SCP-239, a mentally unstable girl with superpowers which is about to explode the world after the Foundation abused her with 900 kilowatts of electric shocks unless she abided with their orders. Yeah, this is some fucked up shit. Even though the gameplay of this story once again comes down to solving 0 IQ puzzles and just pressing E, it at least isn't a children's goodnight story and can immerse you quite a lot if you actually listen to the story. Now, if you're into story games and value experience over gameplay, this game will probably be an S tier for you. However, if you don't care about endless yapping but rather want to murder or solve cool cases, you'll find this game to be likely an F to D tier. Overall, I'm going to give it a B tier since it's a really well made game, but it just may not be for everybody. SCP Nemesi. This game is just Dead by Daylight but in the SCP universe, but also in early access. You can play as either a human who needs to complete certain tasks with his team in order to escape, or as an SCP who just needs to murder everybody. Now, the dev quite literally states that the game is in early access and that it doesn't represent the final product, so I won't shit on it for its game-breaking bugs or its questionable mechanics. Besides that stuff, the game does hold potential. The design of SCP's ability is pretty unique and you can have a lot of fun with friends. I will then ironically recommend this game if you like Dead by Daylight and SCP and have friends, which may be the hardest requirement, but I'm sure you'll manage. Anyways, considering it's in its alpha state, I'll give it a C tier for now. SCP Operations. Now, this is yet another quote-unquote SCP strategy game, and it's honestly pretty decent. You play as an MTF squad who goes on various missions. During your journey, you'll kill various enemies, collect and talk to NPCs. The gameplay is decent. Its main charm is the turn-based combat system, which is pretty interesting at first, but later on as your squad becomes more trained, the fights become boring as your enemies won't even get to play a turn before they're all dead. As you progress, the devs try to make the enemies harder to defeat by giving them all kinds of grenades and other stuff like turrets, but that doesn't matter as even when they ambush you and throw grenades at you, it won't save them from one guy with a shotgun. The maps are really pretty, and if you go off track, you will be rewarded with additional loot and pretty sights. Now, the game is pretty short, but it just exited the early access and the devs are promising to add more content, so I can't criticize it too much. As of now, it's a decent short B tier strategy game as it's really a fresh breath in terms of mechanics and story. Like, god bless, you're not a Class D that's escaping during a containment breach for the 100th time. I can most certainly see this game being an S tier game one day if the devs add more levels and make the combat more in depth and harder, but for now, as I said, it goes into B tier. SCP Labrat. Now, this game is just straight up SCP Containment Breach but in VR, but it's got multiplayer and a few extra random things, so I'm not sure if there's anything else I need to say about this. It's an S tier DLC for Containment Breach if you have a headset. SCP Equestrian. Did you ever want to play Ultra Kill but couldn't afford it? Well, then this game is just for you, especially if you like SCP. This game is a fast-paced first-person shooter where you play as I think an experimental Nine Tailed Fox unit which uses these suits which make them go brrr, though don't take my word on this. Anyways, in each level you infiltrate a different facility and commit genocide. The enemies are pretty cool but also really simple. You have an arsenal of different weapons and this cool katana that allows you to dash. Now, besides the weapons, another thing I see that were inspired by Ultra Kill is that the first boss you encounter beats the living shit out of you. Or, well, at least until you realize the most effective method is not to try and dodge out of his shots, but rather to just stand still and shoot him in the face. Now, this game is still an extremely early demo, so it will be unfair for me to criticize it on some things, but overall, if the devs add more original mechanics and manage to blend it in with the SCP world more, I think the game has the potential to be a certified banger one day. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. For now, a very generous C tier. SCP Unity. Now, before I played this game, I was advised like 100 times by people to play this game, but I just couldn't bother until I started making this video. Which I regret, cause this game is literally the best fucking SCP game ever and I wish I played it sooner. Let me start off by saying how the visuals are amazing. They are so much above the average but won't make your PC burn down. Even though the playable areas are pretty small as the game was never finished, there's still plenty of areas to explore and they are all amazingly designed. But for me, the favorite part of this game is its music and its suspension. When you are being chased, you feel like you're in a movie, and trust me, the first time you play the game, it will be terrifying. No, listen, dude. What the fuck? He has anime powers. Oh! What the fuck? Yo, don't tell me this is a dead end. Oh my god. Uh-oh. 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 This suspense just generally makes the game feel like some AAA Marvel Studios project, which is crazy as this game never exited itself a version. You can find plenty of SCP items around the map and their lore functionality is implemented into the game amazingly. You can track SCP-207, wear spooky cinema glasses and even do chemistry in 914, which by the way is also amazingly designed, like just look at this. There's no gameplay end goal besides to wander the facility and be amazed by how well made the game is while it's being hunted down by SCP-173 and 106. Which, by the way, are both terrifying when combined with the game's suspense. But yeah, it's good I discovered this game only after it was cancelled, because otherwise I would have given them every single cent from my wallets to put it towards the game's development. I'm just gonna give this game its own tier, because yes. SCP The Sentient Box. Now this is probably one of the most original games I've seen yet. You play as this person who has to solve puzzles left over by a mentally ill person who's being hunted or something. I haven't been able to fully figure out what's going on. You'll have to use Google and other tools whilst playing this game if you plan to progress, and that's intended. For example, you'll have to Google the author of his favorite book, decipher codes and plenty of other similar puzzles, but I just use ChatGPT because I'm lazy. They do get a lot harder as you progress and the story is relatively interesting. The concept is fresh, and if you enjoy solving escape room type puzzles, you will probably enjoy this game a lot, though I do think the €10 price tag is too much. The game does have a free demo, so you can see if it's for you before you buy it. I got bored pretty fast as I don't like puzzles, but it is a well-made original in the game, so it goes into B tier. SCP Rulebreaker. Did you ever want to play SCP Containment Breach but in French, on 30 FPS and without the SCPs that actually make the game scary? Well, then this is a perfect match for you, as after you wake up from being knocked out as a guard, you'll talk with this guy over the radio for 2 minutes and then you're left all alone to navigate empty corridors and random SCP rooms that exist just to kill you. I also found the 99 chamber, which of course serves no purpose, but at least it allows you to gun down the whole pack in 1 FPS. How the fuck? Okay, and firing my gun is just instant blindness. Kill an instance on the... What the fuck? Hey, I killed them, so you know, that was kind of fun. To be fair, considering the game is still not even in its alpha state, it's relatively functional, but it just lacks any proper gameplay or originality and requires heavy optimization, cause I've yet to see a person who can run this game on 60 FPS. F tier. SCP Secret Laboratory. Now, after 2000 plus hours of this game, I'd say I'm more than qualified to rate this game. SCP Secret Lab is a multiplayer SCP game based on, once again, SCP Containment Breach. You can play as a Class D, Scientist, Facility Guard, any of these SCPs or these military roles. Once the game starts, everyone has a certain goal. As a Class D and Scientist, you wanna escape. As an SCP, you wanna murder everybody. The escape process works similarly like in Containment Breach. Find a keycard and get a higher level one by either finding it or using 914. You can use a wide variety of guns to defend yourself or, you know, commit genocide. There's also plenty of SCP items who all serve a unique purpose and can help you escape. The facility is randomly generated each round. The round ends when certain victory conditions have been met. For example, when SCPs kill every human, or when MTF kill every threat in the facility and escort out scientists. Now, this game can be quite of an experience depending on which kind of server you play on. For example, if you play on official servers where children scream 24/7 and people say 1000 racial slurs per minute, yeah, you'll probably get brain rot within 30 seconds and close the game. But if you play on good servers with normal people, you will have a blast, trust me. Every round feels so different and unique, which is the reason you don't get bored after countless of hours. The game has a high skill ceiling, so you'll most certainly see the difference between new and older players. Not to mention it has an insane comedy potential, which is, well, what built its career basically. The devs are kind of questionable, they dropped the best update ever and then go into hibernation for a year, but overall in its current state a certified A tier. And for sure the best SCP multiplayer game out there for now. SCP Containment Breach Remastered. Did you ever want to play SCP Containment Breach but the icons and sounds are not the ones from the good old days? Not to mention the game crashes and breaks anytime you tab out of it or try returning to the main menu. Well, then this game is just for you. That is, if you even managed to launch the game, considering it crashed like 2 times for me before I successfully managed to launch it. The only good thing about this game is that it has modding support, but that honestly doesn't make up for its cons, so F tier. SCP Strategy. I had relatively higher expectations for this game than usual since it wasn't free and also because I love strategy games and SCP, so when I saw those two in a name I was ecstatic. Unfortunately, I was met with a clicking simulator which only includes a few minigames. The gameplay at first seems pretty complex, but that's only because you don't get much explanation on what to do. After like 30 minutes in, you'll realize your gameplay comes down to just clicking on MTF and sending them to these anomaly sightings, which they automatically then explore, capture and give you the set captured SCP. If you don't do this 24/7, government satisfaction will go down and you'll stop receiving money, which is essential for well playing. You can research these SCPs, which will give you research points, whose basically only use is to allow you to research said SCPs more effectively, to upgrade your MTF to capture SCPs faster, and to get some other perks. What I just said will be 70% of your gameplay. The other 30% are these minigames I mentioned. You can choose to research SCPs manually, which will give you more research points, but you have to solve these puzzles within a short time. This may be a bit interesting at start until you figure out how it works, but as you play it just becomes a massive pain in the ass and you'd rather get smaller rewards with auto-research than to bother with doing these puzzles. You can also raid or get raided by other organizations. If you raid and destroy others, you will gain score and SCPs. Pretty logical. How do you do such raids? Well, through epic mobile game gameplay. I was pretty excited when I saw this on my screen because it looks strategical, but 1 minute in I realized it's just a clicking simulator, as all you do is click on your unit and click on the enemy unit and then end turn. You can research some upgrades to make you more effective at said combat, but yeah, it doesn't get any more in depth than just clicking. If you have too many SCPs and not enough SCP sites, you can also experience a containment breach, which in order to contain you need to well click, but whilst having limited utilities. If all of your rooms go below 0, the site is lost and you lose score. However, you can place Class D and MTF in order to make the percent go up. I can't bother explaining fully how it works, but it's pretty fun at the start, and once again it just becomes a massive pain in the ass later on, and you would rather just lose score than have to deal with mathematically clicking 1000 times in a row. This game feels like if somebody had a bunch of cool ideas and tried to make it into a game, but they filled in all of the gaps with a clicking simulator, which doesn't really classify it as a strategy game. It is entertaining to try out the few mechanics the game has to offer, but after you do, you'll wish you rather spend $7 on like, I don't know, a burger instead of this game. D tier. SCP Escape Together. Now this game usually gets beat down as the worst SCP game out there due to its bugs and questionable design, but honestly it wasn't that bad. The game is just the multiplayer version of SCP Containment Breach, but with a few changes, which are for example that you can run much faster and jump, get stuck indoors and spectate SCP POVs, which is honestly really cool. Overall, not much to say about this game. It's scuffed, but honestly it can be pretty fun and get really chaotic with friends, so I'll give it a very generous C tier. SCP Bloodwater. This game is just the more advanced SCP version of the Stickman Wars mobile game, which most of you have probably played at one point or at least played something similar. Now I can't lie, this game is pretty well made. The UI is nice and smooth and the graphics are acceptable, plus the soundtrack also goes pretty hard. The gameplay is also pretty enjoyable, starts off simple, but as the game progresses you will need to strategize if you don't plan on getting destroyed. You kill bugs, collect their meat, refine it and sell it, which gives you money and reputation, which you can use to train units or to research various upgrades or units. As you get stronger, so do your enemies, and it can get pretty intense. Though probably after like an hour you'll probably get bored, as there's no end goal as far as I'm aware. I tried killing the enemy base by sending a massive army, but they all just got effortlessly destroyed and the research didn't do much. Overall, a decent game to entertain you for a while. I can see myself playing this on the shitter, but it isn't on mobile unfortunately, so yeah, C tier. SCP Ground Zero. Now this game feels like SCP Nine Tailed Fox, but 10 times higher quality. You play as an agent who's infiltrating an SCP foundation that underwent a containment breach, and your task is to retrieve a specific SCP thingy. Still not sure what exactly it is. On your journey you'll face hostile entities which you can either gun down, blow up, or later on burn to death. The game's ambience and animations are pretty nice, and I finally played a game which doesn't have the exact same copy-pasted SCP Containment Breach facility assets, so that's a big plus. There's a few puzzles every now and then, and they are one of the most original ones I've ever seen, especially the security system room. God, that one was pretty epic. Oh, and there's also these cool glasses that make you go schizo. There's only one level, and that is the demo level, and it seems like the game has been abandoned, seeing how the last update was 2 years ago, which is honestly a shame, because I think the game has a great potential, but oh well. In this current state, I'm giving it a B+ here, but I'm sure if the game was finished, this would have probably been higher. Anyways, that was the last game from the list. Here's the full tier list in HD in case you wanted to stare at it or something, I don't know. Did I miss any game, or do you disagree about any of my ratings? Feel free to drop a comment, as I'm curious what you think. Oh, and also make sure to smash that subscribe button in case you don't want to miss any future videos, and also because I will get beheaded if I don't reach the subscriber quota, so please help me, they help my family. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.